Hey friends, I'm having one of those resurgences, and these are sort of periodic in my life. A resurgence of enthusiasm around physical activity. And I'm pretty consistent with exercise, particularly with my morning routine, my yoga routine. It's a combination of yoga and qigong usually. I've spoken about it a lot on this post. That's there. That really that's pretty much a never miss part of my life. But what comes in and out is physical activity beyond that. And I was up in Santa Fe this past weekend, and I ran Sun Mountain. I did a post from Sun Mountain, if you're following these posts, and I just came out of it. As I was walking down the mountain, the typical pattern, the typical sequence of things is I'll run the mountain, get to the top. Oftentimes I'll shoot a video post up there because an insight starts to come through, and it's just a beautiful environment to take a video in. And then as I walk down the mountain, I have this like stream of consciousness series of just, it can be, sometimes it's just kind of thinking about aspects of my life, working with a relationship that there may be something going on, or grappling with something in my work life or whatever. It can be anything. Parenting, I can be thinking about, how it's going with Annalise, whatever. But what always amazes me is how it's like a portal opens in that outdoor, on a mountainside, literally, environment, and with my body having physically exerted itself. It opens this door to information, to intelligence, to my own intuition. It's staggering to me sometimes how much comes through. And I find myself going, how is it that I don't have access to this all the time? And I tend to think that the physical activity is sort of like a separate thing. It's kind of like it's the focus of my experience, sort of after the exercise portion, when I'm basically just walking back to my car, is not on being physical. It's not on the physical body. It's sort of a kind of psychic balloon effect. But something about physical movement, physical activity, really engaging with my body seems to open that up. So I'm kind of in a place of appreciation for that. And I'm in a place of wanting to capture capture that feeling a little bit, or not. I don't know if capture is the right word, but remember that, recall that, and be conscious of that, because it feels like that level of energetic kind of connection and power. It's like I feel like so much movement could happen in my life if that connection were always on. In other words, if that were just day in, day out, the level of availability and alignment and connection that I had. And again, I'd say I give myself a solid B plus, maybe even an A minus for staying physically connected day to day. But having the experience of really being outdoors and running a mountain. I mean, that's like pretty much as much exertion as you can ask for. You can kind of dose it depending on how much you want to push, and I took it real easy. But that level of exertion brings on a whole new level of connection to greater energy. I don't know how else to say it. It was just kind of it. I took a note. I took a voice memo as I was walking down the hill to try and just remind myself to really sort of clock this and remind myself how important it is. So it's something that I, when I work with clients, when I work with the people that I work with, either on piano and music or on the creative projects that they're working on, I don't find myself emphasizing physical activity that much. I find myself working with the project and working with their psychological state, of course, considering what's going on in their life, and over time I get to know their patterns, so I start to be able to point those out, and I start to be able to identify them and hopefully, helpfully engage. But watching myself just blow open simply because I got myself moving was kind of a revelation. Tony Robbins starts there. If you ever do a Tony Robbins day workshop with him, or I've done some online app-based trainings and courses, a lot of it starts. He starts with the physical body, and I think I'm starting to appreciate the wisdom of that, the wisdom of getting physical, getting our physical body moving and changing the state of our physical organism as a way of, first of all, it doesn't give us time. We don't have a lot of time for our patterns. If you're running a mountain, you don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of headspace to be concerned about, your psychological patterns. You've got that level of exertion draws our focus to it pretty quickly. And that's a benefit. That's a massive benefit in and of itself, because it just changes the focus of our mind. But then what I experience, I think, especially because I do this in an outdoor, I'm not in a gym. I'm sort of in nature. I can look up and I can see a hawk flying, and I can see for miles and miles around. I can see probably nearly 100 miles from up there. I'm seeing other mountain ranges across the state. That brings us to a place, just energetically, where a whole other level of psychology can show up. And what came through really was I need to build that experience into my life more frequently. Here at home, we don't live quite as close to the mountains as we used to when we were living in Santa Fe. So I'm working that part out, but that's one of the things that has showed up big and has really kind of something that I want to hang on to and make sure that I incorporate into my life, because I was like, wow, I could write a book just on my walks down the mountain. always remember what Sadhguru says. He talks about when students come to his center in India and they want to learn, they want to pursue a spiritual path. Most of the time, he says the first assignment is like hard labor for months, because people have to burn off so much excess physical energy. We become so accustomed to not being, to the standard tasks of life not involving our physical bodies really that much, that people just have this kind of excess of energy and tension, and you can't sit and meditate properly until you've kind of burned that off. I have a little bit that sense in my own life, even though, again, I'm pretty physical to a point, but I wonder whether my experience of really kind of letting myself exert and then finding an internal and very still, very kind of like lucid, psychic energizing that happens. I wonder if that's not some version of that phenomenon of just letting my physical body complete its actions, and then having a natural and almost spontaneous ability to then refocus and to let a kind of clarity come through that really has nothing to do with the physical, although it's involved, but the physical tension and the physical system is no longer in my way. It's no longer kind of gumming up the system and sending streams of energy through in a way that's not helpful. So anyway, maybe you can relate to this. Maybe this is helpful for you too. Certainly something that I'm gonna try and bring into my life more consistently. And I just have a great appreciation for the effect that I've experienced over the last couple days. That's what I got today, folks. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. I appreciate you. So much love. Take care. Talk to you soon.